In a dramatic moment on the front lines, a Russian soldier from the 51st Army demonstrated extraordinary bravery and quick thinking under fire. According to military correspondent Evgeny Poddubny, the scout, known by the call sign Grek, found himself in a critical situation when his machine gun suddenly jammed during an intense firefight. Rather than retreating or surrendering, Grek chose to press forward. Spotting a sturdy stick on the ground, he grabbed it and continued the fight with nothing more than sheer determination and courage. Closing in on the enemy, he engaged in a fierce hand-to-hand battle, ultimately defeating the Ukrainian soldier using the improvised weapon. Once the confrontation ended, Grek didn't stop there. Maintaining his composure, he dragged the defeated adversary into an open area so that a Russian drone operator, who had been observing the engagement from the air, could record the aftermath of the encounter.
Saw the blade. Seek the light in darkness.
The armed forces of the Russian Federation continue the special military operation. Units of the Sever group of forces improved the tactical situation and inflicted fire damage on formations of 2 mechanized brigades, 1 air assault brigade, 1 Jaeger brigade of the AFU, and 1 territorial defense brigade close to Alexievka, Andriivka, Varakino, Novaya Sek, and Satki, Sumy region. In Kharkov direction, Russian troops hit units of 1 motorized infantry brigade of the AFU, 1 territorial defense brigade, and border detachment of the State Border Guard Service of Ukraine near Volchansk, Kharkov region. The AFU losses were up to 140 troops, 1 tank, 13 pickup trucks, and a US-made 155mm Paladin self-propelled artillery system. 1 electronic warfare station, 3 ammunition depots, and 5 material depots were neutralized. As a result of resolute actions, the Zapad group of forces units liberated Borovskaya Andriivka, Kharkov region. Russian troops launched attacks on manpower and hardware of 1 mechanized brigade, 1 airmobile brigade, 1 assault brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and 1 National Guard brigade near Sadavoy, Kirilovka, Peskinoy, Bogoslavka, Shikovka, Kupiansk, Kharkov region, Yampol, and Novosilovka, Donetsk People's Republic. The enemy losses were more than 230 troops, 1 US-made M113 armored personnel carrier, 30 motor vehicles, 1 field artillery gun, 7 electronic warfare stations, and 5 ammunition depots. The YIG group of forces units improved the situation along the front line. Russian troops delivered strikes at formations of 3 mechanized brigades, 1 mountain assault brigade, 1 air assault brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, 1 territorial defense brigade, and 1 National Guard brigade near Dranovka, Zvanovka, Pleshchievka, Ivanopoli, Berstok, Stepanovka, Konstantinovka, and Seversk, Donetsk People's Republic. The AFU losses were more than 180 troops, 5 armored fighting vehicles including 1 US-made Max Pro armored vehicle and 1 US-made Stryker armored personnel carrier, 12 motor vehicles, 4 artillery guns, 1 Czech-made Vampire MLRS combat vehicle, and 1 electronic warfare station. In addition, 2 ammunition depots as well as 3 material depots were neutralized. The Center Group of Forces units liberated Moskovskoye, Donetsk People's Republic, entered eastern areas of Dmitrov, Donetsk People's Republic, and developed an offensive in residential areas. Russian troops hit manpower and hardware of 1 heavy mechanized brigade, 4 mechanized brigades, 1 airmobile brigade, 1 assault brigade, 1 air assault brigade, 2 assault regiments of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, 1 marine brigade, 1 territorial defense brigade, and 2 National Guard brigades close to Rodinskoye, Vasilevka, Novopavlovka, Teretskoye, Udaknoye, Krasnoarmysk, Lenino, Donetsk People's Republic, Ivanovka, and Filia, Dnipropetrovsk region. The AFU losses were up to 535 troops, 2 armored fighting vehicles, 2 pickup trucks, and 3 field artillery guns. The Vostok Group of Forces continued to advance into the depths of enemy defenses. Russian troops launched attacks on formations of 1 mechanized brigade, 3 assault regiments of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and 2 territorial defense brigades near Alexeyevka, Grigorovka, Vishnevoye, Dnipropetrovsk region, Poltavka, and Privolnoye, Zaporozhye region. The enemy losses were up to 355 troops, 2 armored personnel carriers, 21 motor vehicles, 2 artillery guns, and 3 electronic warfare stations. The Dnieper Group of Forces units inflicted fire damage on manpower and hardware of 1 heavy mechanized brigade, 2 coastal defense brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and 1 territorial defense brigade near Nikolaevka, Tamarino, Lvovo, Antonovka, and Sadavoy, Kherson region. The enemy losses were up to 60 Ukrainian troops, 5 motor vehicles, 5 electronic warfare stations, and 3 ammunition depots. Operational tactical aviation, attack unmanned aerial vehicles, missile troops, and artillery of the Russian groups of forces inflicted fire damage on 1 US-made HIMARS MLRS launcher as well as Ukrainian defense industry enterprises, missile and artillery weapons depots, material depots as well as temporary deployment areas of the AFU and foreign mercenaries in 142 areas. Air defense systems shot down 10 guided aerial bombs, 1 US-made HIMARS MLRS projectile, and 344 fixed-wing unmanned aerial vehicles. In total, since the beginning of the special military operation, the enemy has lost: White Small Square 667 aircraft, White Small Square 283 helicopters, White Small Square 89,944 unmanned aerial vehicles, White Small Square 631 anti-aircraft missile systems, White Small Square 25,483 tanks and other armored fighting vehicles, White Small Square 1,600 MLRS combat vehicles, White Small Square 30,416 field artillery guns and mortars, White Small Square 43,839 support military vehicles.